Hey everybody, welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another Choosing Beggar Reddit video. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe, and click on notifications so you don't miss out on the fun. In our first story, a choosing beggar mother plays pretty fast and loose when she is hiring a nanny for her children. Let's jump right in. I thought I would share a few stories from when I was a nanny, babysitter, and I worked through a website called care.com. Now, there are quite a few stories, but this one was one of my favorites to tell. Of course, she is also an entitled parent too, but she seemed more choosy about things. If you feel this belongs in a different sub, let me know. Okay, on to the story. This is pretty long. By this point, I had been working as a nanny for almost 10 years. I was not a live-in nanny, but I would spend nights there or watch children for even a weekend at your place of residence if requested. I was mainly there for childcare, but if you needed me to cook, clean, assist with schoolwork, drop off, or pick up your children, I could do that too. My rates were anywhere between $15 to $30 hourly, and for each child, depending on what you wanted me to do, and my gas prices were also added into these fees. Most people were okay with my prices and paid me accordingly. You paid through the website. I have a degree in childcare. I know first aid, I can handle special needs children, I have a clean background, clean driving record too, and excellent references and reviews. My prices were common and fair and were very clearly explained on my page, and any and all questions could be answered by a simple phone call, text, or email. At this time, I was currently watching two little girls already, Monday to Friday from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., when I would drop them off at school. They were asleep until about 6:30 or 7, at which point I cooked them breakfast, made sure they were dressed and ready for school, and sometimes we would go over their homework if they needed help. It wasn't often, just a few times a month really. These girls were perfect angels, and were very respectful and kind, and I loved watching them. And since they were asleep for a few hours, I only charged $15 an hour for each child. Despite the fact I was cooking and driving them to school, since for the first 2 hours I did practically nothing, I thought it was fair. Now I get a request for an interview for someone wanting me to watch her 3 children, ages 5, 7, and 9, Monday to Friday from 3 to 7 p.m. I go to her house and she seems lovely and her kids appear to be well behaved. I gave her copies of my certificates and some reference numbers and so on and so forth, and the interview goes great. And a few days later, she hires me. I started that Monday. The day started fairly normally as I picked the kids up and we all had a snack after school before we went to work on homework. The younger 2 kids were okay, a little rambunctious, but hey, they're kids after all, and usually calm down. But the 9-year-old was a complete brat. He would throw tantrums at the slightest provocation. He would hit his other 2 siblings for no reason at all. He refused to sit down and do his homework, constantly demand sweets, and if I refused, he would go into the pantry to steal them. He would literally scream at the top of his lungs for minutes until he was forced to breathe, and if I didn't watch him every second, he would break and destroy things. If he was the only child I had to watch, this wouldn't be too much of a problem, but there were 2 others who were younger than him who needed my attention too. I wouldn't have been surprised if he was autistic or had ADHD or something, but his entitled mother claimed he was just high-spirited. Honestly, I should have known there was going to be trouble the second entitled mother came home at the end of the day. For one, I was only supposed to be there from 3 to 7, but she strolled in at 9 p.m. I wasn't sure what to do since she didn't answer her phone, so I cooked the kids dinner. I don't like doing this unless instructed by the parents because I was using their food after all, and had gotten them all into bed by 8:30, and by the time she walked in, they were sound asleep, thankfully. I instantly confronted her about being tardy. Ma'am, I don't mind being here from 3 to 9, but I need to know this ahead of time so that I can plan accordingly. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do, honestly, about feeding and getting your kids to bed because that was not in our original agreement, and I was forced to amend the cost through our app for this day, I said. Cooking was always an upcharge, and gas was also added as stated clearly on my page. She got this confused look and quickly checked how much I charged her. It ended up being $20, gas included in this price, for each child, so $60 an hour. I was there for 6 hours, which came to $360. She was originally quoted at $180, but this new price was tagged for me staying 2 hours past what was discussed and the added cooking and driving, which was not originally planned. Needless to say, she was furious with me over this. How dare you charge me this outrageous price? I was told it would only be $180 and you doubled it just because I was a little late. She screamed and woke her kids up, but she screamed at them too to get back to bed. Ma'am, I explained in our conversation when I took this job that the price was subject to change when circumstances changed. I wasn't sure the price of gas either, so it was going to increase a little no matter what I did. I did try to call you several times, but you didn't answer your phone, so I had to cook for your children and put them to bed, and I added the extra gas it cost me for driving to their schools and picking them up. I estimate I used 3 gallons and that's all I charged for. Basically, added 1 gallon charge to each kid. Now, I am willing to amend the charge back to the original $180, but only for today since I was unable to get a hold of you and tell you all this. However, if this happens again, I will be charging you the $360. I said this simply and amended the charges and was about to leave, but she stopped me. Wait! Why is the house such a mess? Don't I pay you to clean this place up? There are dishes in the sink. You obviously didn't vacuum. Toys are still out, etc., etc. She was complaining loudly again. Let's be clear, the house was honestly a mess when I arrived, and I even took out the trash and tidied up a little while I was there, but I am not her maid. Ma'am, if you want me to clean, you need to add that into the list of services you require so the price can be adjusted for the extra work. You only checked off childcare and nothing else. No cooking, no cleaning, no schoolwork assistance, nothing, just watching your children. I already went beyond the scope of your request today and stayed late with no notice. I was not paid to clean, so no, you actually don't pay me to clean. Then how can you justify $15 an hour for my children? I called X and she said you only charge her $30 an hour and you don't charge her more to cook for her kids, the entitled mother yelled. X only has 2 children who are asleep for 2 hours before I even start work, and at breakfast they usually want cereal, so I wouldn't really call that cooking. Honestly, I don't usually drive them to school either. Most of the time their dad comes home and he takes them, I explained. Your situation is different, so there is no use comparing yourself to X in this. Whatever. I expect you here tomorrow and we'll discuss your prices then, she said, all haughty and high and mighty. I did go to her house a little earlier so that we could discuss my prices, and she explained that my prices were unfair and she should only pay $10 for each hour, and that she would also be pulling longer hours at work, so she would need me from 3 to 9 sometimes, even 3 to 10 or later. She expected me to cook, clean, help with homework, and make sure the kids took a bath before bedtime, which needed to be at 8:30. She figured that since the kids would be asleep from 8:30 to whenever she decided to show up, that I shouldn't be paid for that extra time either. She honestly acted like this was fair to me. I told her flat out that if she wanted all these extra services, then it would be going up to $26 per child. And she would most certainly be paying me for all the hours I was at her house, not just for when the kids were asleep, and I was not going to accept her low offer of $10 an hour. Not even 10 for each kid, just 10 an hour. She just turned up her nose at me and said, "Take it or leave it," she said, as if that was some kind of a threat. I already had work and usually found more fairly easily too. I shrugged and said simply, "Okay, I'll leave it. I will not watch your children today or in the future." Wait! I have work to do today and the rest of the week. How am I supposed to find someone on such short notice? You have to watch them, She cried, realizing I was not going to give in to her crazy demands. If you need me so desperately, then I will help you out, but you need to agree to my price right now and pay in advance through the website like everyone else does. If you want me to cook, clean, help with homework, and get them to bed, then I won't do this for less than $26 per kid per hour. I'll accept $20 per kid per hour if I don't have to clean. I actually wanted to charge her $30 an hour, but I refrained from doing so. The only problem was the entitled brat. The other two were pretty well behaved. Fine, she said, but I refused to stay until I saw her pay for my service in advance. Even though we had come to an agreement, I told her that I would only help her out till the end of the week, so that she wasn't in a bind. She would need to find other arrangements before the week ended. She didn't, of course, and she kept trying to argue about my prices, but that wasn't my problem, really. She had to pay in advance each day for me to stay, and I knew that the end of the week would come and I would be done with her. I just did my job, making sure that the kids bathed, brushed their teeth, and were in bed by 8:30. I did everything she wanted, but still, she was unsatisfied. The best part of the week was walking out the door on the last day, knowing that I would never have to deal with her again. It made me really appreciate my great clients. This is John from Slash Bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to see more of them, then please hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.